Find the measure of angle 1 and angle 2. So in order to do this, tell which theorem you use in each case. So basically you're going to tell them what relationship they have. What relationship does angle 1 have with the original angle? They're corresponding. What do I know about corresponding angles? What do we call that? We don't call that equal. They are congruent. So then what does that mean the measure of angle 1 is? 41. Do the same thing to find angle 2. So we're going to find the measure of angle 2, except for this time the relationship is not corresponding. What relationship do they have? They're vertical. What do we know about vertical angles? Oops. Vertical angles are congruent. Good. So then what's the measure of angle 2? 41. And then that's it. Next one. What relationship does 124 have with angle 1? Alternate exterior. What do I know about alternate exterior? They are congruent. So then what's the measure of angle 1? 124, because congruent means same measure. What relationship does 2 have with 124? They're corresponding, which we said earlier are... They're congruent, yeah. So what's the measure of angle 2? 124. Number 3, it says find the value of x, show your steps. So what relationship do these two angles have? They're alternate exterior. Linear pair have to be adjacent. Alternate exterior are congruent. So what am I going to do with these two measures? Set them equal. Good. So I'll say x plus 24 equals 3x minus 8. So I'm going to move my smaller x, which here would be x. So we'll have 24 equals 2x minus 8. My next step is add 8. So 24 plus 8 is 32. So then x equals 16. Did we answer the question completely? Yep, it says find the value of x, show your steps. There they are. The last one is there a relationship between these two angles? No, they're not. So they're not both on the inside, they're not both on the outside, they're not corresponding, they're not linear, they're not vertical, they're nothing. So you could do the zigzag. So if this is 142, this would also be 142. This would also be 142. You just put it on the back table.
Is this the right poster board for the
Yes, I am, but I pressed pause, don't worry. No. All right, so we got 142, 142, 142, 142. So you can do, so does 2 times x plus 9, is that equal 142? Did that land there? No. So what you could do is find out what the other angles equal. You've done this many times. We did this on Jeopardy. We did this earlier. How do I find the measure of the other angle? Subtract from what? From 180. Good. So what is 180 minus 142? 38, which means this angle's 38, which means this angle's 38. Which means, what is 2 times x plus 9? What does that angle equal? 38. So 2 times x plus 9 equals 38. So does this one. Just throwing it out there. All right, so then what do we do next? We distribute. So we have 2x. 2 times 9 is? 18. All right, next step. Subtract 18. 2x equals 20. So x equals 10. That's it. Show your steps. Oh, we did that. Go ahead and put everything away besides first take out your homework from yesterday. You can be as creative as you want. So when you name your city, you can make it all about you. You can make it about what you're interested in. You could make it about a specific topic. I don't care. You're being as creative as you want with this city. Okay? So we're all going to read at the top. You're going to highlight this first part. Part 1 is a blueprint. It is on graph paper. So go ahead and highlight it. So part 1 is a blueprint. It is on graph paper. So what is the purpose of a blueprint? So you know what you're going to make, okay? So here is what is required of you on your blueprint. City designers must accurately draw parallel, perpendicular, and transversal lines to create your city map. You are to design a city. So you're required a certain amount of lines, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we've seen transversals that look like this, yes? Yes, okay, this is like the basic transversal. This line is a transversal. Because a transversal is one line that cuts through two or more. Anyways, you're going to place buildings. No buildings can occupy the same angle. Angles are in the corner between two lines. So whenever you place a building, let's say this was my house, you're going to place it at an angle. Here's why. Look at the very bottom of your page. So where it says step 6, or you just see 6. It's right, or it's where the hole punch is, right here. You see all these A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P? Okay, pretty much. It'll say place a house and a school at any pair of consecutive interior angles. So you're placing locations in angles, and angles are in the corner. So can I place my house over here? Is that an angle?
No.
No, you have to place them in a corner, okay? So, just for that, use a ruler to draw straight lines. You do not have to do that on your rough draft, because again, is this a grade?
No.
No. So you're not using a ruler today unless you make it to the graph paper. Capiche? So your rough draft, you're not spending a ton of time on it. You're just sketching out what you're going to be doing on your actual graded paper. When you get to your blueprint on your graph paper, make your initial lines light and in pencil first, so that if you make a mistake, they can be erased and you can alter it very easily. Okay? Because again, this is worth 50 points of your grade. This is literally a third of your grade right here. You don't want to get stupid points off for not being neat. Okay? So that's the first part. So here are the steps. After today, I'm just going to tell you to read the steps, because it tells you word for word what to do. So when you get your graph paper, what does it say the first step is to do? Draw an X and Y axis that goes from one end to the other. So pretend that this is my graph paper. You see how my X and Y axis goes from one edge of the page to the other? Okay, so that's how yours will go. Step 2, create a unique name and population for your city. Place this where? At the top of your blueprint. Underline the word top of blueprint, or the phrase. Because people are going to ask. At the top of your blueprint. So that is a name and population for your city. What is population? How many people are in your city? You make it up. You be as creative as you want. Okay? Step 3, you must have a design company name and logo for your design company. Create this and place this name and logo in the bottom right-hand corner. So you're going to make a logo and a name for your company. This is the company that is building the city. Okay? So you pick it. Be as creative as you want. I know Brady's is my favorite right now. He said Brady's Bunch of Helpers or something like that. You ever seen the Brady Bunch or heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, you be as creative as you want and you make a logo. Step 4, what I have highlighted, you don't have on your paper. Choose a slope. It cannot be 1 or -1. You're writing it down in pencil. I would not write it in highlighter. Yes, ma'am.
For number 2 on yours, it says top of your blueprint, but on ours it says top of your draft.
Same thing. But people used to think your rough draft wasn't graded. It used to be called the rough draft, it's called blueprint. You'll also put it on your computer paper. Choose a slope. It cannot be 1 or -1. You're going to draw 3 streets that are parallel to each other. These streets can't be horizontal or vertical lines. The streets do not need to go through each axis, but need to go from one end of the page to the other. So here's how you do this, okay? Do you see my graph? I already have a point on it. It's all the way down here. You start at a point. I picked the slope, even though I told you you can't have the slope, but I can have the slope because this is me. My original slope is 1. Can you have a slope of 1? No, but I can because I make the rules, okay? You actually don't want it to be 1, and I'll tell you why. You're going to fill the whole paper with your slope. So if my slope is 1, and every slope is rise over run, okay, my rise is 1, what's my run? 1. So I would literally go up 1 over 1, 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 up 1. Does everyone see this? Yeah. Then I would connect the dots. Do you see how big this sheet of paper is? Do you want to use the slope of 1? You'd have 1 billion dots on this paper. Do we understand that? Okay. You need to do this 3 times because 3 of them are parallel, which means 3 of them have the same slope. Okay? So you would connect the dots. I already have examples. So I would connect, here we are. Connect the dots. You would do this 3 times. So here are my 3 parallel streets. If you notice, they do not go through each axis. So this one doesn't even touch any of the axes. This goes through both. And this one goes through both. But they don't have to go through each axis. There's the x-axis and the y-axis. That's what it means. But they do need to touch one end of the page to the other. One end of the page to the other. Does everyone see that? From there, step 5, you're going to draw 2 transversal streets that are perpendicular to the old one. So 2 streets that are perpendicular to the old one. So then I would take my original slope and find the perpendicular slope. What are all perpendicular slopes? They're opposite reciprocal. So my new slope would not be positive 1, but it would be negative 1. Okay? So then I would pick a point. You see my point? Okay? I would draw a slope with negative 1. I would draw 2 of them. Notice how both of these lines touch all 3 of my parallel lines, all 3 of my parallel streets. That make sense? Okay? So again, from one end of the page to the other, and they do need to go through all 3 streets. Capiche? And then after that, you make sure you give your street names. So whatever you decided to theme your project, this is where it would come in. You need to highlight. All names must be easily identified and near the edge of the page. All names must be easily identified and near the edge of the page. So I just see you opening your highlighter. So all streets should be easily identified, all street names, easily identified and at the edge of the page. So this is really the best way to do it. I named one Marshall something, right? Am I right? Okay, so I would name one Marshall Boulevard. See how it's on the edge of the paper? Then I would name, Geometry Road. So that's 2 streets. How many streets should be named, though? How many streets are there? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 streets. So you name 5. So then I could say 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street. Okay, so see how all my roads are named? They're at the edge of the paper, so they're easy to read. Okay? Because remember, I have 110 projects to grade. So if I have to look in the mass chaos of your picture, that is not going to happen. Throw it out there. Okay? So after that, you see this in step 6. So go ahead and look at step 6. It's at the hole punch and then down. Place the following buildings on your map at any location as directed. All buildings must be drawn or written as a rectangle. Go ahead and highlight that. So all buildings must be drawn or written as a rectangle. So here's what that means. Let's say I was trying to draw Chick-fil-A, because every town needs Chick-fil-A. If you don't believe that, then you take up your sin with the Father. I don't have time. So you would write, I drew a building, and then I wrote Chick-fil-A, or you make it a rectangle, and you'd write Chick-fil-A. Okay? So I don't care whichever, but notice how it's in the corner. I have named it, okay? And it's a rectangle or it's a building. Do not make a key. I had someone make a key. Here's what that means. You know how you go to Disney World or an amusement park and you try to find the bathroom on a map? It doesn't say restroom. It'll have like a symbol. You're not doing that. Do not do that here. The only time you can is with a stop sign, because if you look at J, stop signs need to be at any crossroads where there's more than one building. Okay? So if I had a second building here, pick another building. Okay, Wally World right here. Okay. Then I would need a stop sign. So I would write, you can make something like an S or something like that. You need to have an actual stop sign on your final product, but on your blueprint, your graph paper, you can write S. Okay? So anyways, this is why no two projects should look anywhere close to the same. Last year I had 3 people cheat on it. I have photographic memory. So when I'm grading your project, this is actually what happened. I graded one project, and then a week later I graded the second project. And I said to myself, I've actually already graded this before. And I went back, and I love them to death. But they weren't even smart about it. They had the same exact project. Like, instead of, what was it? They did candy. Like Twix Tower, the other one was Rolo Tower. And they looked the same. No joke. Same place, same everything. So, no two projects should look anywhere close to the same. Your name should be different. All the locations should be different. Everything really should be different. Okay? So, when you go to name them, don't just say house. You name the house. So, my house. You can say mi casa, my crib, whatever. School, you name the school. Bank, name the bank. You can be a real place, or it can be something you've made up. Again, this is your city. So, whatever you want. So, if you hate ViStar, don't put ViStar. Okay? If you want everything to be about you, then make it about you. Okay? It's up to you. All right, so you'll go through this list. That is your blueprint. That is what goes on your graph paper. Questions about the graph paper? Speak now or hold your peace. Okay, flip to the second part. Part 2. This goes on notebook paper. Go ahead and highlight that. On notebook paper. So highlight on notebook paper. Okay. For all 5 streets that are on your map, you're going to find the slope of each street. So how many slopes are you going to find? 5 slopes, because you have 5 streets. Using the slope formula. Okay, so that's part A. Remember, so you'll underline this. Just underline it. Remember that 3 of the streets should be parallel. So those, terrible underline. Those 3 streets should have the same slope, because parallel lines have the same slope. Let's go ahead and underline that. If they do not, you're wrong. Either your picture is wrong or your math is wrong, but you're just wrong. Okay? Second thing, 2 streets should be perpendicular. So they should have opposite reciprocal slopes to your parallel streets. Okay? So the first thing you do, you find the slope. Second thing you do, take the slope and one of the coordinate points and write the equation in point-slope formula. If you don't know what that is, it's in our notes. I would find it. Letter C, take the point-slope form and write each equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so there are 3 parts to the math. That's it. You'll do it for all 5 lines. Find the slope, write it in point-slope, and then slope-intercept form. And the last thing I want you to write in this section is you need to label your streets. So if right now you're working on Geometry Street, so if you're working on Geometry Street, write Geometry Street and then find the slope. Okay? And then so on and so forth. Make sure you label the streets, because there's 5 streets and there's 3 things for each street. So make my life easier. Label the streets. That's the math. Questions on the math? Okay. Last thing is your poster board. What do you think you do with your poster board? Yeah, you put what's on the graph and you put it on the poster board. Okay? Just neat and pretty, and your streets need to look like streets. So do streets, do they look like little straight lines like that? No. So they are 2-dimensional, right? And then what's in the middle of the streets usually? Yellow lines. Okay? So all of your streets should look like streets. Your buildings should look like buildings. So you are no longer drawing a rectangle. You're actually going to, draw a house or whatever. Your stop signs need to look like stop signs. A stop sign is an octagon. I'm not drawing one right now, but you get it. Okay? So your stop signs need to look like stop signs. Grass needs to be green. Things like that. Questions about the poster? So your poster needs to be identical to your blueprint. We understand that? The point of having a graphed poster is so you can make sure you have parallel lines and perpendicular lines. Because if they're not parallel and perpendicular, then you're going to get points off. Okay? So use the graph if you got one with a graph. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Is it what? Next week. Having to pick the date. We're doing it today in class, tomorrow in class. Thursday you have a quiz, and then you're doing it more in class, and then Friday in class. We're not doing it at all in class next week. But if you miss a day this week, or if, really that's the only reason you wouldn't finish it. If you work really slow, I can open up my classroom sometime, like in the afternoons, not today or tomorrow, because I have volleyball. But it'll be due next week. I'm pretty sure it'll be due Tuesday, but I haven't 100% decided. That's why it's not on this paper yet. All right, so here's your goal for today. Go back to the front page. Because you're starting at square one, right? You're going to get a piece of computer paper. Is this computer paper your grade?
No.
No? Are you going to use a ruler on this paper?
No.
No? So what you're going to do is you are going to do these few things. They're written in the top section, okay? So if you ask me, where do I put my town name? It's in the directions. I've also already said it. So today's goal, make a rough draft, so on this computer paper, complete with your city name, your population, your construction company's name, and logo. Again, that's all on your paper, where to put that, okay? I did say it out loud, but if you don't remember it, it's on your paper in one of the first few steps. After that, what you want to do, you want to, this rough draft will have a general set of lines drawn. So what I mean by general, you're not using a ruler. You're literally drawing boom, boom, boom. I mean, make it look a little better than this. Sorry. Make it look a little better. But you get it. Okay, you're drawing 3 streets and 2 transversals. Okay, roughly. Not like that rough, that was pretty bad. But a straight line. You can use the edge of something if you so choose, but you're not getting a grade on this. Okay? So 3 need to be parallel and 2 need to be perpendicular. Make sure that 2 perpendicular, they touch the 3 parallel. So they should all be connecting. Okay? And then name the streets. C5A. It's on your paper if you want to know about where to name them or where to put them. The last thing is begin placing the relationships in 6A to J. That's on the bottom of the page. This is your goal for today. You are only doing this in class. You are not taking this home. You literally pass it up and I count how many I have and make sure I have it. Do we understand each other? So you shouldn't sit here and waste time. If you sit here and waste your time, this is a test grade and I'm not going to be nice about it. Okay? So I'm going to hand out your pieces of computer paper. If you want another one, if you mess this one up, that is perfectly fine. I think that's 6. That might be 8. Here's yours. So you want to be thinking of a city name, a population, a theme, something to that effect. So that's what you should be thinking of right now while you're waiting for papers. Think of a city name, population,